What is going on, guys? Gavin here. Today we got Jason. So Jason went undefeated today, and what were you playing today, Jason?
Dragon Link.
All right, let's see what you're rocking with here today.
First of all, thanks Gavin for having me in the channel. Shout out to all the other Dragon Link players like me. The deck is not dead; it still goes. You just gotta know how to side up appropriately because the deck can still perform. So first of all, we got the rocket package. We got 2 Tracer. I used to play him a 3. But there was so many times I would just open it plus quick launch and so on. I just decided I'd rather see other options with me, so I decided to cut it at 2. Controversial, but I do run 2 rechargers. I run 2 recharges because I hate drawing it, and sometimes I need to go into level 8s mid game. I already burned my first recharger. Sometimes I need to, when I recycle the Striker Dragon, he comes up and revive like a monster, go into more aggressive plays. So I like 2. Especially if you draw the first one, because you still got another targeting deck with Tracer. We also got the 2 Synchrons. Very good card. He hits a lot, and sometimes the opponent doesn't even expect it because they think you're just gonna abuse Tracer and so on. But he revives your Absolouter, he revives other monsters, and gets you into level 8s or even level 9s. We got the 1 Absolouter. Some people like them at more than 1 or 2. I do not like opening it unless I have a rocket with me, but then that burns my normal summon, so I keep it at 1 because he's always gonna be my Dragon's Ravines target 95% of the time. We got the 2 Noctos. I like it at 2. I do not like it at 3. I tested with it at 3, but many times I opened too many high level monsters. In a Dragon Link deck, I was bricking, so it was not optimal, so I just cut it to 2.
I feel the same way. I feel like that card at 3 it just bricks too much.
You don't want it at 1. You'd rather have it at 2 because he is very good at chain blocking. He'll come in as a Chain Link 3. He'll block your plays with Striker Dragon, and he's a free draw, so it's always a good body to have. He's not very good at mid game, but he's very good at early game. Yeah. We got the 3 Safers. Safers I used to run at 2. I think that was a mistake, and I think 3 is the optimal number. Most of the time this is going to be your normal summon of choice, especially if you don't open Chaos Space. It's basically like opening like playing 6 Chaos Space. He gets you into your plays, and sometimes they have to burn an Effect Veiler on this monster even if you have plays, but because Tributing is cost, you can play around the opponent's hands a little bit better. And of course, the main targets you're gonna search with those are Wyvern Buster and Kala Serpent, the 2 brothers. So with this, I mean, it's very standard. Usually you wanna start with these 2, either off of Chaos Space or Saferd, because you wanna chain block the Striker Dragon to get you where you need to be. We run the 1 Levy because sometimes if you already open this and you just need a more aggressive plays, you just go ahead and add them off the Saferd, pop some back row, pop some monsters, or even revive, which comes up in this deck a lot. I'll show you why. And just play a more aggressive game. He also is good to sometimes mill off of Dragon's Ravine if you already burn your Absolouter, because there's a high chance, since you're running 3 Saferds, that he's gonna be in the graveyard. That's a free recursion, that's a free monster back to you, and a free pop if you have enough fodder in your grave. The 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, usually you get this off of Spheres, and he's basically nib protection, because sometimes your opponent will just nib you by the time you have Spheres in the extra monster zone. Gets distributed, at least secures you a negate on board, and it's a good extender for mid game and finishing off games. We run the 1 Chamber Dragon Maid. That's another Spheres target. She is good. I used to play her at 2, but I think now 1 is the optimal choice ever since Striker LP got banned. She's not as consistent anymore. Sometimes you're gonna have to bring your normal summon, but if there's a way you can get Tiding in the grave with maybe Chaos Space, or even milling off of the cost of Dragon's Ravine, she comes summon as a free level 4 body for synchro plays and gets you the Tiding.
Sometimes
we run
Chaos Ruler loves you, right?
Chaos Ruler. Sometimes the mills are godly, sometimes they don't work in your favor. I run the 3 Ashes. Not my preferred hand trap this format, because there's so many decks that just spam so many monsters. 1 Ash is not gonna stop them, but she is a tuner, which does come up sometimes in what I will show you in the extra deck in a minute. Sometimes you just gotta know when to hit Ash with the right spot, and sometimes the opponent just has the 1 Fusion Destiny, Ash it, and they pass turn to you. I run the 3 Veilers over the Imperms. Imperm is a better card because you can use it within any turn, either yours or your opponent's. but she's a light and she's a tuner. She is fodder for Chaos Space if you open her going first and you have enough gas to go and set up a board. And also she's graveyard fodder for Levianeer. If you have 3 of these in grave and you banish them with Levianeer and you special summon, say, a Red Eyes Darkness Metal, and then you extend off of that, you got game. You go into Borrelsword and it's game. She's good for fodder also.
Yeah,
Yep.
Not enough light monsters without that card, right?
Not enough light monsters, because usually Chaos Space you tend to just mill Dark, search Wyvern Buster, but you can mill her and go off from there. The 3 Gamma package and the driver, more fodder for Chaos Space, more fodder in the graveyard for Levy. This is good. Some people run it in the side deck. I like it in the main deck because Droll is running everywhere in the format. They're gonna draw you by the time you Chaos Space, and they're gonna try to ash you sometimes on the normal summon of the Seyfert or even on the quick launch. So that's where you summon Gamma and go off. At that point, you burn 1 of the cards in their hand, and if you can get into Levianeer to snipe 1 from their hand, there are only 3 cards into their turn. It's pretty much game over from there.
Yeah, it's a game if you resolve that on your turn with this deck.
3 quick launches, because why wouldn't you? The card's too good. It's a 3-off. Of course, it's not a once per turn. One day it'll get hit, but until that happens, you know, it's a 3-off, of course, staple in every Dragon Link deck. The 3 Chaos Space, your starter of choice. You wanna open with this hand, but you gotta be careful for the Ash, because you do neg 1 because you discard. If you Ash, you're in a bad position, but that's where Gamma comes in, of course. Sometimes you even want to just play with the Safer first, bait them out into ashing so that you can go ahead and resolve Chaos Space for good. This is also a good mill off of Chaos Ruler because you just get more recursion for next turn. Free draws, recycles your Striker Dragon, just great card. The 2 Tactics. Tactics I like over Crossout. I used to run Crossout. But my brother actually told me to try out Tactics Talents. You have so many resources in the deck that your opponent's gonna Veiler you, your opponent's gonna Ash you. It sucks if they imprint you, but you still got protection. If they draw you, look at their hand, draw 2. Well, not if they draw you, but you can look at your hand and, you know, get knowledge of first of all what they're playing, take off important combo pieces, and usually you have enough plays in your hand that if you get ashed, you still got play. Just snipe from the hand, keep playing, or draw 2, worst case scenario. This with Gamma, and also if you happen to just snipe 1 with Levianeer, your opponent's just gonna scoop right there. The 1-offs that go in every Dragon Link deck, Called By, Sector Launch, and Ravine, you have to play these. You need to resolve your Striker Dragon if you can, and you know, hand traps are running everywhere. For the draw, because they're gonna draw you, that's another protection against it. Sector Launch is great. My personal choice, I try not to pop it with Rocket Tracer at most, because by the time turn 2 happens, you burn so many resources. If they break your board, you're gonna be out of resources. You might as well keep this in case you need recursion, in case you need to special summon something back from the grave. And the 1 Dragon's Ravine to out of Romulus, you know, to get into the Absa router to go ahead and extend, and so on and so on. And lastly, we run the 2 Dragonmaid Tiding. 2 is the correct number if you play only 1 Chamber Dragonmaid, because if you mill 1, you still get to summon her and search the other one, and so on and so on. If you open with her, you're in a very good position, because as of now, I think bouncing is better than destroying.
Yeah, you can use it to bounce like Mystic Mine and End Phase. Like, it's so flexible.
Mystic Mine on End Phase. You can also use it to play over Dark Ruler, because you can flip it, and if you have Hot Red Abyss, Abyss is allowed to respond, and you can go ahead and negate a Dark Ruler or a Droplets if they didn't discard a trap card. We're gonna go ahead into the extra deck. The Link ones, of course, you're gonna play the 1 Striker Dragon. You're basically your first Link summon always, because you gotta get into that field spell to just go ahead and keep extending. Pisty, some people don't like it as much, but if you know how to play around with the arrows, you're in a good position to go ahead and set up a nice board, or even mid game, just go ahead and extend even more so you can push for game. You gotta get into Borrelsword somehow, and sometimes this is the way. You play the 1 Quad Boral. It's good if you don't have any anything on your graveyard as a Link monster for Savage, so that you can get a monster with 2 negates. He comes up too because he also boosts him by 500, so sometimes that's enough to push for game. And one thing not many people know, you don't have to pop your own monster. If you're playing against a Link-based deck like Live Twins, which actually I played against today, or if you play against like a Tri-Brigade deck, you can pop their own monsters, their Shurag, their Link 4, and that's a free soul charge for you, and just go ahead and play from there. The one Romulus to get into the Dragon's Ravine. This is also a free special summon from a monster in your hand. Just go ahead and extend, but usually it's mostly just so I can get into Dragon's Ravine and protect it with chain blocking. We run the 2 Spheres. Spheres is a 2-off, it's not a 3-off, and it's not a 1-off, because it's gonna come up so many times. Usually you wanna end with this on your first turn end board, so you can go ahead and generate some disruption. Not only that, but if you tribute itself, what you usually do, you get a free monster from the deck, that being either a Chamber Dragon Maid or a Red Eyes Darkness Metal if you need to extend. We run the 1 Appaloosa. She is good, especially when when you get to resolve your Gamma going first. Because if you get to summon her, you're nib free. The deck dies really hard to nib. So sometimes instead of like going into Spheres, you just gotta make sure you can at least get to her so that you can go ahead and save yourself from nib. Usually if you resolve the Gamma. You play the 1 Boros Sword because he's the, I would say, is the boss monster of the Rocket archetype, in my opinion. He's the endgame finisher. He runs over Dragoon. He runs over even the Attic Nister monster. He runs over so many things. Most of the time, if you summon it and you are able to go into battle phase, you're gonna win right there. Especially if you can summon a Chaos Ruler from the graveyard and go ahead and swing for game with this one. It's 9,000 damage. We do run the Hulk Selene access code package when you don't have enough resources to go into Boros Sword, because it does need 3 materials, and you've set up a lot of fodder. You have so many spell cards in the deck, you're gonna have more than 3 for Selene to revive an Effect Veiler, which is actually the reason why I do decide to play the Effect Veiler. Go into a Hulky, special summon Selene. Selene goes into access code. Access code comes with 5300, and you have so many links in the deck, you can just pop the entire board and just hit for game from there. It's an alternative to Boros Sword if you don't have enough resources to go into it, because sometimes just maybe reviving a Chamber Dragon Maid from the deck, normal summoning a Veiler, normal summoning an Ash, will get you into Hulky, will get you into Selene, and will get you into access code, which will get you game. And that's usually in the grind game. It comes up a lot. And lastly, we got the Synchros. We got the 1 Chaos Ruler. He's usually the first one you summon before Savage. You are gonna force your opponent to basically imperm you or ash you at this point, because just dropping 5, milling 5 is just too good. And then you get to either add a Veiler from your hand, you get to add the Wyvern Buster, you get to add even a Nib if you decide to run Nib. It just gives you so much advantage. And with so much fodder in the graveyard, he comes up a lot. We run the 1 Borderload Savage. It's an Omni Negate. Why wouldn't you? This deck makes it very easy, especially going off of Quad Boral. He's gonna come in pretty much in every game you play. He's gonna come in boosted, so you know they're probably gonna have to run over at least 3,500 to get over it. And he's an Omni Negate from everywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be on field. The 1 Hot Red Abyss. Personally, I would say if you can go into either of these 2, first go into the Chaos Ruler, mill the 5, add something, and go ahead and go into Hot Red Abyss, because sometimes targeting negation actually comes up a lot, especially when trying to chain block, and the 1 play against the Dark Ruler no more that I specified. And lastly, we do run the 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archifiend. It's my personal spice for the deck, because it just comes up so many times. For example, when you go into grind games, or the match doesn't go against you in your favor, or even if you're just playing heroes and they don't get to their DPE, you just wipe the board, burn 500 for every monster, and usually break their board, swing for game. Or if you're in time, this just gets you the game right there, especially if you only have like a minute or 2 minutes left. It is a degenerate play, but it's part of the game. So I mean, if you can win in time with this guy, might as well resolve it. And for the side deck, we do run the 3 draws. Depending on the matchup, I go ahead and take out the Ashes. If they search a lot, if you play something against Drytron, if you play against Bird Up, you want to take out the Ashes and go ahead and put this to stop them while you can. The 3 Nips, because you have to. They're good with crossout, and so many decks are combo at the moment. Just 1 Nip is gonna end their turn. You just gotta know when to do it. Hope they don't have the crossout. I do play, of course, the 2 crossouts. I did not like it at 3. The card Bricks. The card tend to break. Sometimes you just open 2, sometimes you don't even open 2. I have very bad luck with it, so that's why I only run it at 2. Most of the time I'll put the 1 nib going first. I'll open the nib, I won't see the crossouts. So I definitely do not like it at 3. I don't like running as many bricks in the deck, especially when I already have to run driver in it. We do run the 1 dark kaiju. He did not come up as much today. I brought it really today just for the DPE matchup, because DPE runs wild in our locals. He's a dark monster, so he's fodder for Chaos Space, he's fodder for Levianeer, and so on and so on. But he didn't come up as much this time. Gadar is definitely the best kaiju right now, because she ignores the barrier statue. But you know, sometimes a kaiju is just unexpected. We run 2 back row removals. Some decks still decide to run back row, like Eldish. So the 1 Harpy's Feather, the 1 Twin Twisters. Sometimes if you can discard like an Absolrator, you'll go, you know, equal off of it. But not always you want to discard, because you know you lose resources. But the 1 Harpy's Feather, you know, Harpy's Feather is always good against back row. When Twin Twister does come up is when you have Chaos Space, for example, and you start up with Chaos Space, and that's when the opponent is gonna activate Imperial Order, and that's when you chain Twin Twisters to get rid of it. And any other back row they have to go plus. The 1 Dark Ruler, I was only running 1 because I run so many hand traps. I figured I was gonna brick if I brought more of it. Besides, it dies to Imperial Order, so I decided just to run 1 for it. It came up and just hope for the best. 2-dimensional barriers, I was only running 2 because my side deck is a little bit tight on space. Great against the Swordsel matchup, very good against the Bird Up. If you go first, definitely put it. If you're playing against either like a Shaddoll Invoke deck, or if you're playing against a Bird Up, just call Xyz. Swordsel, when they summon the token, is when you declare Synchro, and if they don't have a way to get rid of that token, they have to pass turn to you. Along with that, the 1 Imperial Order, because this card's broken, it just wins game on its own. Why wouldn't you play it? It stops fusion decks, so that's why I just decided to combo it off with the dimensional barrier, so I didn't have to run so many bricks. I was already running the Dragonmaid Tiding, so I didn't want too many traps on my deck. Yep, and that is basically for the deck profile, guys. I appreciate Gavin from Change of Heart YGOs for having me in the channel. Please like the video and subscribe if you can. And yes, we're still running Dragon Link in 2021.
Alright, well, congratulations, and thank you so much, Jason. But with that, I am going to leave you guys with a peace out. Have a nice day. Goodbye.